Tepu, Namaste. Haru Nefer, this is Kasankma Keparu with another broadcast for you. And this broadcast, we're going to be doing some oracle readings. I'm going to talk a little bit about the oracles and give you a background and the historical perspective and whatnot. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. And if it's your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live or when I upload recorded videos. And we have some free ebooks for you if you're interested in learning more about the esoteric or about the Kemetic religion. Just click the links below and you can start to download and read those ebooks today. Also, consider becoming a Patreon supporter. You can do so for as little as $1 or $20 per month. You can cancel at any time. Finally, be sure to share this video with family and friends because we want to get the revolution started. So sorry, I was supposed to broadcast earlier today, but as I was getting ready to go live, I had a client call me and they were like, "Oh, we want to talk to you. We want to do a Skype call. We have to go over the production." And I'm like, "Now? Really? Now?" So I had to get on a call with them. It was about 5 of us to talk about the upcoming shoot we got on November 6th. So that was kind of important. So I couldn't keep them waiting. So I always want to try and do the broadcast when I say I'm going to do it, but sometimes, things happen. So I want to talk a little bit about the oracles and really get into the history of the oracles so that you understand what they are about. And it's not like what you see in movies like The Matrix. Basically, the oracles are a tool, a device that allows us to communicate with the divine being, God, or since we know that God has different aspects to it, the intelligence of God, the wisdom of God, which we call Tehuti, because there is the mouthpiece of God, which you can also say is like Sebek, and the power of God, which is Sekert or Ptah, and the love of God, which is Ma'at. So the oracles were discovered very early on by priestesses and priests as a means to communicate directly to God and to get forecasting. We knew that we could find out if there would be rain or if there'd be a drought, if there'd be famine, and things of that nature through the oracles. They were a way of telling us what to expect, but more importantly, they were a device used to gauge morality, to understand God's plan for us. Because we're incarnated into this existence not just haphazardly. God has a divine plan for us, which we call as our destiny. And it's through the oracle that we can find out what our individual destinies are all about. Now, an oracle is a tool, but it also can be a person. In the very early stages of this, individuals were used, specifically women were used, because women are more right-brained and able to go into a trance state. So they were used as mediums to communicate with God and to come out of trance states and give the prophetic word or speak God's wisdom. This is why in the Kemetic religion, well, I should say that I am opposed to things like the Bible because there's a big misunderstanding that the Bible is not the written word of God. If you want to follow God, if you want to follow the word of God, then you go to an oracle and then you ask God the question. And by querying the oracle, it gives you specific advice for your specific situation. And it's not based on some ancient writings that are antiquated. All right. That's what it's all about. And in the early inceptions, the priestess would go into the trance state, as I mentioned, and come out and then have an answer to your query. And these individuals were highly praised, rewarded, taken care of because they were doing a noble service. We live in a corrupt time. This is the time of Sahu that rules the planet. Sahu is the lower animal nature of humankind. So what does that mean exactly? We pay basketball players, football stars, all of this money to do nothing but distract us and entertain us, while those individuals who have raised their consciousness to the level of the Christ consciousness are going without rewards, are going without notice. And many of them live in poverty. because it is a backward society that doesn't know how to pay tribute to those who are living a righteous life. So we have gone off course and we need to course correct. I'm tired of us always talking about movies, the latest entertainer, the latest sports figure, but we have neglected those individuals who have worked hard for spiritual excellence and have gone unnoticed. But that's the part of the plan and where the ruling elite want to take us, the Illuminati. They don't want us to celebrate these individuals. They want them to be on the peripheral. They want them marginalized. They're pariahs of society. Because if these individuals were to take their rightful place as sages, priests, role models, then the ruling elite would know that their days are numbered because these individuals would expose them for what they truly are. And many of these so-called priests and ministers in your churches are charlatans, and the oracle would expose them right away because the oracle would get to the heart of the matter and speak the truth. They would tell you if this person really is a follower of God, if they really are anointed by God, which is why I say to anyone who questions anything I teach, do an oracle reading to find out if I am righteous, if I am on the right path. And when I was in the priesthood, I spent 12 years in priesthood, the high priest would say, if any one of you want to take my place, I will gladly step aside if you show me an oracle reading that sanctions that. And nobody could show him a reading that sanctioned that. So he stayed as leader, high priest, and king of our temple. And in fact, he taught two oracles, the Oracle of Tehuti and the Chinese I-ching oracle, dating back thousands of years, co-authored by Confucius. And in fact, I discovered not too long ago our study book of the I-ching, and this is what I would use in the priesthood. And these were all of his notes and different hexagrams. If I can get a good shot of this, it's very heavy. So this is what I would bring to class, and I would go through it, and we would read each hexagram and decipher its meaning because most of it is in uh, uh, Chinese, uh, Chinese allegories and proverbs. Recently, Wilhelm and Baines came along and did their own interpretation of the Chinese Oracle I Ching, appropriately titled the I Ching Book of Changes. This is one oracle system. Then you have another oracle system, which is, of course, we all know the tarot. I find this book to be very helpful. If you guys want to find this, it may be a little bit difficult to find. It's called the Pocket I Ching, and this is a really good, handy book to keep along with you. But let's go back to what I was saying before about oracle systems. That there are so many that can be used to guide humanity into the right place, to guide humanity into the future, but they all have been done away with conspicuously because the ruling elite don't want us to follow truth. They don't want us to have a system that can interpret the truth. We have to be mindful of that. So, one of the most famous oracles from history is the Oracle of Delphi. And I want to talk a little bit about that. Um, so, why don't we go to this video, which really gives you an insider's perspective on what this oracle was. So let's go to this video.
Located at the foot of Mount Parnassus, there was a sacred place for all Hellenic people. This place was known as the Oracle of Delphi. Its origin dates to the clash between Apollo and the serpent Python, which was sent by the goddess Hera to pursue Leto, who was a lover of Zeus and mother of Apollo and Artemis. After defeating the terrible viper, Apollo decreed that on that spot, a temple would be built in his honor, and indeed the edification was established. Apollo was also considered the god of prophecy, and due to his mythological origin, the sacred Oracle of Delphi surpassed all others in terms of prestige and devotion. The oracle really existed, and was the main religious center for the ancient Greeks. Generals, kings, and noblemen consulted the oracle before making any important decision, whenever it was feasible to do so. No war, alliance, or colonizing expeditions happened without listening to what the oracle had to say beforehand. There was a subterranean chamber inside the Apollo's temple, in which only the Pythonesses, who were the temple's priestesses, could enter. According to the tradition, there they inhaled the gases emanating from the buried body of the python serpent. These gases and Apollo's gift gave the Pythonesses the power of prophecy. Before asking the oracle anything, the visitor went through a process of purification. They had a sacred fountain to clean themselves, which contained the following inscription: "For the good pilgrim, a drop is enough. For the bad, not even an ocean could remove his stains." Then it was necessary to offer a sacrifice to the gods. A lamb or a bird would have been killed, and then a priest searched their bowels, trying to find divine signs. The question posed to the oracle was written on a clay board and delivered to the Pythoness. Inebriated by the gases, the priestess went into a trance and began to mumble cryptic words. These words were written by the priests. The answers delivered were usually enigmatic, mysterious, and often difficult to interpret. Nevertheless, the peoples of that time stated that the prophecies had a high degree of accuracy, and, when they were not confirmed in reality, they believed a misinterpretation had been the cause. The oracle's span of glory lasted many centuries, until its decline arrived. Nero, the Roman emperor, ordered his legions to loot the sacred temple. During the looting, more than 500 statues of bronze and marble were stolen, and then taken to Rome. And with the growth of Christianity, the oracle was permanently closed by the Emperor Theodosius in 385, considering it was a site where superstitions and pagan rituals germinated. But the temple was already in decline even before that. Julian, known as the last pagan emperor, sent an emissary to pose the oracle a question. The priests of the temple sent him the following reply: "Tell the emperor that the glorious temple fell into ruins. Apollo does not have a roof over his head anymore. The leaves of the laurels are silent. The sources and prophetic streams are dead." At the beginning of the 20th century, scholars did not find any signs pointing out to the presence of the famous prophetic gases, concluding that everything was simply a superstition. However, in the final periods of the 20th century, geological studies indicated that the temple is located on top of a geological fault, from which gases are emanated, perhaps with anesthetic and psychotropic effects. The glorious past of the Oracle of Delphi is recorded in works such as Oedipus Rex, in which the oracle prophesies that Oedipus is destined to kill his father and marry his mother. Due to its pivotal importance in the Greek world, the oracle was considered the navel of the world, and in its walls, the famous inscription and the biggest of all advice could be found: "Know yourself."
How nice. So we can see from that, very interesting, that at the same time as the rise of Christianity, the oracles started to decline, and this was calculated. We know that the Roman Emperor Constantine in 325 AD elevated Jesus above Mary, and this was also analogous to the moving from a basic right brain, predominantly integrated brain thinking civilization to a predominantly polarized left brain civilization. So when you are dealing with the oracles, you have to understand the oracles are based upon right brain thinking, which is why the narrator there talked about how the advice would be often cryptic. because you're dealing with symbolism and allegories, which is why the Bible is written in symbolisms and allegories, okay? Because it is a book based on astrotheology, based on symbolism, and not an actual history book. You see, notice how they use the word superstition, okay? This is their way of vilifying our tradition, our religion. What they want to do is take a science that was so high that they could not understand it, and then have the audacity to call it primitive, to have the audacity to call it pagan, because you're dealing with ignorant men, very ignorant people who created an ignorant society which you see around you. And because they don't understand the high science that our ancestors practice, because they're not initiated into the mystical systems to understand the science, they dub it as superstition. Uh, really think about that, ponder that. They come across something of high technology, high morality, and because they can't understand it and get frustrated, their only recourse is to label it as primitive. What kind of backwards ass stuff is that? That's like me walking into a class on trigonometry and saying, I don't understand it, therefore it's primitive. You know what I mean? So, this is what has been done with our history throughout. It's not just an attempt to cover it up, but to label it and misdefine it. And taking it a step further, when they do want to say that the civilization is of high technology or advance, then they have to go to the extremes of whitewashing it. That's the only way they will accept it. Because, of course, any indigenous native people of color could not be at the head of a very advanced civilization. That's the way they saw it. This is the way they currently teach it. So, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to resurrect this ancient wisdom and knowledge and to practice it. This is why I take issues with a lot of these so called charlatans who call themselves Cometians or spiritual. And when you ask them, do they practice an oracle system? Inevitably, it's always no. So then what are you doing? You're like a child playing cops and robbers. If you are not using the oracle system to guide you in your life, then you are not following the word of God. If you are not using an oracle system to guide you in your relationships and in your marriage and in your career, then you're leaving your life up to your left brain, which is shown time and time again to be very limited in its capacity to do anything. You see, when you're looking to gain instant wisdom and knowledge, you've got to access the right brain, which is the gateway to the Akashic records, to the storehouse of wisdom and knowledge, God's wisdom and knowledge. The left brain is so limited in its thinking. And this is where most of the scientific men like Stephen Hawkins failed in their careers because they're so trapped in linear time space thinking that if they can't see, hear, and feel it, then they don't believe in its existence. Whereas our ancestors knew that our vision was very limited, that there were spectrums of the light waves that we could not see, but they exist nonetheless. So we say, I don't believe in spirits or interdimensional beings simply because you can't see them, but do you believe in oxygen, right? Simply because you can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It means you don't have the right tools to perceive it. You cannot base everything on sense perception or sensory input because your senses are limited. This is why you have to rely on your third eye, the uchet, because God gifted you your third eye to give you perception into the unknown. This is what the Osirian drama was all about, the story of Asar and Aset, where Haru would fight Set and end in a stalemate. It was only when Haru went to seek counsel from Tehuti that Tehuti gave him the Ucha, gave him his third eye. And then he was able to see things that no one else could see, perceive things that no one else could perceive, thus winning the battle over Set. Do you understand? But this society tells you that your sixth sense or your third eye is sci-fi. It's a fabrication. It doesn't exist. It does exist. It's the pineal gland. We know it exists. And we don't do anything to exercise it, to strengthen it, to bring it to fruition. We simply ignore it. Therefore, the vast amount of wisdom and knowledge that you could be getting is closed off to you. Because, like a muscle, you've never used it. So it's whittling away. Do you understand what I'm saying? I am telling you that you are dealing with neophytes. You're dealing with primitive people who don't know anything, but yet they know enough to tell you your ancestry, your lineage is primitive. How dare they? When they bomb everything in sight, where they create war after war after war, invade country after country, steal natural resources, to label a people as primitive. I'm sorry, but I don't see Buddhists waging war against anybody. I don't see Hindus dropping atomic bombs on anybody. Do you know how sick you have to be to create a nuclear bomb? What type of mindset sits there and thinks, I'm going to create something that will kill people on a massive level? And yet you want to point to these individuals in this so-called third world practicing a religion that pays tribute to God or the gods as backwards. Let's get real. So I want you to understand that when you go to the oracle and you ask a question, who you are speaking to, you have a direct channel and link to God. You are speaking to none other than the creator of all that there is. You are not talking to a deck of cards. You're not talking to coins. You're not talking to a stone, bones. You are talking to God. And if anybody has a doubt about that, ask the oracle, say, who am I talking to? And see and see its response or read its response. Because that was my first question, one of my first questions when I learned the oracles. Because I wanted to make sure I was talking to a divine being. And my second question was when I spoke to the oracle, asked, I said, God, do you love me? And God replied, yes, with all of my heart. And that confirmed it for me. In the Cometian tradition, as we practice it here in North America, there are two oracles that we use. One is the Maduna, which is the great oracle of Tehuti. The other one is the Chinese I-ching. The Chinese I-ching, in its very early inception, used tortoise shells. Then it moved on to Yahweh sticks, and then started using Chinese coins, such as the one I have here. If you can see that for heads or tails, you know. The coins are tossed, and depending upon um, how they land, it indicates the answer to your question. And if you want more of a detailed explanation as to how to use the Chinese I Ching Oracle, go to Patreon or become a Patreon supporter, because I have a class on there about using the I Ching. You know, and usually use it using 3 Chinese coins, or you can use pennies, whichever one works for you. Okay. Um, One of the things in this modern age that's really great is that the internet, they have created a number of different sites that allow you to duplicate the I Ching online, which I think is phenomenal. Um, let's take a look at one. I think that would be interesting if I can share that with you. All right. So let's take a look at this here. Okay. This site, I think, really gives you a good simulation of what it's like to work with the I King or the I Ching. And by the way, the I Ching mean the change, to change, the book of changes. Because in order to live life and be successful at it, you must change according to the need. You see, we're not dealing with religious dogma. We're dealing with specific advice tailored to your specific question. So you have these 3 coins here, that these are Chinese coins, that you would, like I said before, you would throw them, and depending on how they land, they would create what we call as a hexagram. And sometimes you would get 1 hexagram, other times you would get 2 hexagrams, depending upon how much God wants to talk to you about your question, you know? So let's do a little thing. Like, for example, I could ask the I Ching what it thinks of me teaching this oracle to my YouTube followers. So I would hit this button throw, and as you see, it builds a hexagram. And here we go. Do, 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 do. Ooh, very interesting too. Land, a foundation for progress. Beneficial is the persistence of a mare. The noble one has a goal to move to. Being confused at first, later acquiring mastery. It is beneficial that companionship is gained in the southwest. Okay. Companionship is lost in the northeast. Calm persistence brings good fortune. There is a new potential for you to develop. At first, you'll not know your way, but you'll gain a handle on the situation and eventually master it. Just calmly proceed. It is beneficial to make partners and allies and not to move on with people who have different interests. At the original place and time of the I Ching, allies were in the southwest. Territory they wanted to conquer was in the northeast. Now, it doesn't take a dummy to realize that this is a specific answer to my question, which basically, my question was, what does it think about me and, teaching my YouTube followers the I Ching? And the first line here says a foundation for progress. Beneficial is the persistence of a mare. The noble one has a goal to move toward. You're going to be confused at first, but later, if you persist, you'll acquire mastery. It also talks about gaining fellowship and working with each other. So I want you to see right here, as this is a direct reply to my question. There's no ambiguity about it. And then I could go on and ask another question. Now, as I talked about before, um, it is full of a lot of Chinese proverbs. So if you want to work with this oracle, I recommend you getting a really good English translation, because you don't want to get the ones that really have a lot of the Chinese symbolism and proverbs before it, because it could be a bit confusing, and trying to interpret that can, put you down the rabbit hole. Okay, it can be very challenging. This is why we would have very intense courses in priesthood to really understand the Chinese symbolism and what they mean, like the southeast, the northwest. We had to understand what those things meant, you know. But if you're looking for divine guidance, I would highly recommend the I-ching Oracle. It is not such a good oracle if you're looking for predictions, okay? That you can use other oracle systems, like, for example, the tarot or maybe the Meduna Ter, okay? Now, with that said, I want to do some readings for a couple of people here. And if you're interested in doing a reading, let me know. And pose your question, one question only, and I will gladly do a reading for you, so we can get an answer. Um, the other oracle, which I just mentioned earlier, is um, the Oracle of Tehuti, and it's based on the tree of life, the Kemetic tree of life, or the Pot Netaru. So the Oracle of Tehuti is this deck of cards which lists a deity or an energy with each card. And the deities govern different aspects of your life. If you are too egotistical, you can't be taught, you have a Haru problem. If you get very angry easy and you get into a lot of fights, you have a Harukahuti problem. So we understood that these divine intelligences, these deities that govern the universe, also run through us, as above, so below. And this oracle of Tehuti is meant to tell you precisely what deity is governing your success in a given area. And it also prescribes a ritual and a mantra to help you be successful. Do you understand? So I want to invite Dark Goddess of Light into the discussion here. I'm sending you a link. Please click on the link and join me so we can do a reading for you, Dark Goddess of Light. If you can do that now, that would be great. Let me just get an answer to your question. The best, what is my next step? I have been putting out my intentions and have been seeing daily synchronicities. I want to know what is next. All right, that's a good question. What is next? Um, Let me see. And you're asking, I would like a reading, please. Will the expansion of my career bring me abundance and balance with love? That's very vague. I don't know what you mean by bring you abundance and balance with love. And that's two questions in one. So I'll kind of narrow it down to one question and be very specific. Like, for example, when you say bring you abundance, what do you mean by abundance? Are you looking for more work? Are you looking for more money? You know, so just be very specific. So, Lang Dance, please click on the link to join me if you can, and we will do a reading for you. And the best, please click on the link, and I'll see if you can join me, and then we can discuss your reading. Okay. But I want you to understand that this is something you should live by. This is a way of life. Okay. When you're working with the Oracle system, you just don't want to use it every now and then. Allow it to guide you in your life, and you will see the fruits of your labor. You will see that the advice it gives you keeps you out of trouble, keeps you in balance, and brings you luck. It's when you don't follow the Oracle that you're opening your life up to whatever comes your way. I learned very early on, I'm not going to get my butt kicked by life anymore. I am going to follow the word of the Oracle or the word of God so that I could live a harmonious life. because there are things that will blindside you. Things come up. You know, and I do weekly readings. I do monthly readings because I want to know what's coming up. Like, is next month going to be prosperous for me? Will there be any difficulties that I need to be aware of? You want to see these things ahead of time and prepare for them. You don't want to just go into the dark and bump your head against the walls. You want the light. Do you understand? So let's look at it that way as Cometian people. We don't want to live like everyone else is living in the Sahu world. All right. Tepu, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. So your question was, what's your life purpose?
Yes.
So that's what we would call. That's a good question, actually. That's what we would call a destiny reading. So basically, what you're asking is, why did I choose to reincarnate? Because
Right.
you you existed in a previous life, but you've come back to complete something that you left off,
Right.
and you want to know what is it that you need to complete. But
Mm-hmm.
more importantly, um, sorry, one second. I just misplaced something. Where did that go? There we go. God needs you as a vehicle because God placed his consciousness within you to experience this uh, third dimensional plane. God says, I'm giving everybody a theme for which they must live by, and they need to explore that theme. And in exploring that theme, I will understand myself better because God has infinite potential, infinite knowledge, but God does not have the experience. And God needs you to experience these things. And to do so, God creates us and lives through us to gain the experience. But God has to do so in an orderly fashion. So
Mm-hmm.
God says, Kisong, I'm giving you this theme to explore. Dark Goddess, I'm giving you this theme to explore. And that is how things are done in a very organized fashion. So God may tell me it wants me to explore the theme of unrequited love. So I'll get into a relationship that will fail and I'll be heartbroken. But God will say, Dwa, thank you for experiencing that. God will say, thank you for going through that pain so that I may gain the experience from that. Because see, you're thinking, oh my God, why am I going through this? This is terrible. But you are doing it for God. You
Mm-hmm.
are helping God. There is a symbiotic relationship there. God needs you. This is why God has um, unconditional love for you. God is not just throwing you here for no reason. So your question now is, well, God, why am I here? What is my theme that you want me to explore? And because we live in a Sahu world that does not believe in the oracles and these things, you're left to try and figure it out yourself instead of being guided by a priest or priestess. So let us go to the I-ching to explore your theme. What is
Okay.
your destiny? And I'm doing the reading right now for you.
Okay. Turn it down.
All right, so let's start with the reading that you got for the I Ching, and then we'll go on to the Meduniter. You've got the I Ching 48th hexagram changing to the 8th hexagram. Okay, the
Mm-hmm.
48th hexagram talks about the well, the source, and the 8th hexagram talks about unity. All right, let me read to you what the 48th hexagram talks about. You got the second and third line stressed. Okay. It says, because you may not be using your abilities and talents in a worthwhile way, you may go unnoticed in the world. When you are not sought out and challenged by your contemporaries, your talents will dissipate. When it becomes most important, you cannot fulfill your function. Third line, you may be overlooking an opportunity that has come your way, or you or your talents may be overlooked by others. This is very unfortunate. If somehow this could be recognized, you and everyone around you would benefit. Then it talks about the eighth hexagram, which is unity. So let me do the interpretation for you here.
Okay.
What the I Ching is telling you is that you're going to go through this life not being recognized for the talents that you have.
Mhm.
But what it's telling you in the eighth hexagram is that's okay. Hold on to the unity that you have with people. Eventually, they will see the goodness within you. They will see the talents within you, and you will be able to shine and gain
Okay.
recognition and climb up the ladder. But at first, understand that they will not see the true essence of who you are, the goodness of who you are, the talents that you have. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can go to the top of Mount Everest and start yelling, I can do this. I'm great at this. No one's going to recognize it. So you can expect the jobs that you get into, the career, the relationships, for people not to see your worth. You're going to have to learn to live with that, but hold on to the union for eventually they will recognize that. Okay,
Mhm.
so let's do your Medunatar reading. And with the Medunatar reading, we will find out what God or goddess is governing your life, that's looking out for you, that's working with you. All right,
Okay.
let's do this.
Ya, pobre, pobre tuyo.
All right, so we got an answer for you. It's a bit of a challenge, but that's what you're here for, right? You're here for challenges, right?
Right.
You're not here to make everything easy. You got Sekert, and I've talked about Sekert earlier as the power of God. Okay, and
Mhm.
then you got Tehuti, the word of God or the wisdom of God. All right.
Mhm.
Sekert deals with limitation. Sekert deals with cycles and challenges and obstacles. But these things are there to help you grow.
Mhm.
So Tehuti is known for making the two combatant brothers go home in peace. Tehuti is wisdom that reconciles differences. Okay.
Mhm.
So this is a very high reading. So it's really talking to you and saying you must accept limitations and understand that those limitations are going to be there to help you grow. And then
Mhm.
you have Tahuti, and this tells you that you have to learn higher knowledge and higher wisdom in order to work with people. You
Okay.
see, there's sometimes that we just don't get along with people. There's nothing, and it's very challenging for us. And this is because this world doesn't help you to understand that really who we are is not the person. We are all one consciousness. And this is what Tahuti will be telling you, that you have to learn to penetrate that and get to the heart of the person. You see, what divides us is political parties, gender, race, but all of that has to be pushed to the side, and you have to say, we are all one. We are all consciousness. And that has to be the basis of reconciling differences. Do you understand? So
Mhm.
you're going to face these limitations and obstacles. And the way that you can overcome those is by tapping into the Akashic records, tapping into God's wisdom. All right. And that will help you to
Mhm.
unite with people and get to where you need to go. So keep in mind that your destiny is governed by Sekert and Tahuti.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
So that just gave you a bit of insight as to a very good question, which is should be always your first question is why am I here? What am I meant to accomplish in this life. And that should always be your destiny reading, because that starts everything. That's the Kickstarter. Who do we have next? Who do we have next?
How you doing, bro?
Hey, Tepu. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, man. I'm good. How you doing?
Good. What's your name?
Choice,
Cool. Where you calling from?
Toronto.
Oh, Toronto. Oh, I got a lot of friends in Toronto. It's cold over there.
It's okay right now.
Oh, it's okay right now. That's good. Oh, great. What's your
Yeah,
question?
you're in New York, right?
No, no, I'm not in New York. I'm in a very secretive place.
Oh, okay, Nevada. Okay.
What's your question?
Yeah, I think I posted a question. Sorry, but I know I was led into this different place. It's called StreamYard.com, right? So I'm here right now, and the question pretty much was, what is the next step? So to make it short, I've been putting up my intention. I don't want to go too deep into it. I mean,
Mm,
right now,
sure.
but unless you want me to. But
No, no, you don't. You don't have to. You don't have to. Keep going.
okay, 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 yeah. So pretty much, I've been putting up my intention, and it never happened before. But for the past, let's say, 12 months, it's every single day, very intense synchronicities.
Oh, great, great,
I
awesome.
mean, okay, so I mean, I just have a quick question. Will this be on YouTube?
Yes,
My conversation.
yes.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, so pretty much just seeing everyday synchronicities,
Hmm.
and I mean it just all the time, and I just want to know what the next step is. That's all.
Great. Okay. So when you see those synchronicities, that means keep going. That means that the universe is working on it. You know what I mean? And if you, I don't know if you've got my ebook, the new Kepler de Ankh, the key to manifesting your reality, where I explain that when you see those synchronicities, well, one of the first things you should do is do an oracle reading to see if what you want can manifest. But you've already started that, which is it's good. Now you want to know if it's going to happen or what's your next step, what you should do. So
That's correct.
why don't we ask the oracle that? Let's say, what is the next step for you in order to manifest your desire in that situation? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, let's look at this. Okay, so right now I'm doing the I-ching reading. Okay. Ooh. Okay. All right. You got the 45th hexagram, which is assembling, changing to the 6th hexagram, which is conflict. Mm. You've got the second and top line stress. Let me read that to you. So the 45th hexagram talks about a bringing together of people,
Okay.
bring them together yourself for a specific purpose. Like, for example, starting a business, a startup company, doing a movement. It's something that's not naturally happening, but you purposely work to bring people together for a specific cause, and it could be a cause of your own. You know what I mean? So let's see what God is saying here. It says, you may feel mysteriously drawn to certain people or endeavors, although this may not be what you had planned for yourself. Give in to the impulse. Larger and invisible forces are at work here, and good fortune will come by submitting to them. So that's talking about those synchronicities. Next line. Any approach toward union will meet with rejection. This will bring you frustration because your intentions are misunderstood. Turn your attention inward instead in order to penetrate the meaning of this disharmony. A inner accord with yourself will strengthen your position and unity may become possible after all. Your next
Okay.
hexagram, because remember I said you can get two hexagrams, is your sixth
Yeah.
hexagram, which talks about conflict. And when you have conflict, this talks about not fighting, just stepping away from the situation. Okay, because I don't know the nature of your question, like what it really involves. I can only give you what the I Ching is saying. Okay, so
Okay.
now
Okay.
let's do a Meduna Tarot reading and find out what deity is governing the success of your desire. Okay.
Okay.
Aha. Oh, very interesting here. All right. Are you familiar with the story of Asar and Aset?
To be honest, I am not, but I have been watching your channel for over a year, so I
Oh, great.
completely understand everything you're saying, but not in detail as in terms of, let's say, the stories between every single energy field or every single entity or character, but I
Hmm.
do understand exactly.
So the story of
Yeah.
Asar and Aset was plagiarized and rewritten to the Christian religion. So Aset or Isis is really Mary, the mother of
Okay.
Jesus, the mother of Jesus.
Yeah.
Aset gave birth to Heru, baby Jesus, the son of Osir. So you
Mm-hmm.
got these two cards here. They're both a set. They're both a set.
Oh,
Now one is
okay.
it's shaded in with three dots, and the other is not. Three dots is in the
Okay.
three dots is in negative. Now, what is Osset? What is she known for? She's known for her devotion to Oser, her husband. That when Set killed him and cut up his bodies and threw the members of his body throughout the planet, Osset went to every country on the planet to reassemble and put her husband's pieces back together, resurrecting him from the dead. This is the story of the resurrection of Jesus. So, what the oracle is saying here, the first card came up, this one, which is in a positive. It is saying for your desire to come into manifestation, you need devotion. Devotion. So, it's kind of saying you're on the right track, keep going.
Okay.
But you've got this one in the negative.
Oh,
So, what is
okay.
that saying? Sometimes I'm devoted, sometimes I'm not. I'm wishy
I
washy.
see. I see.
And Osset is also trance. So, what I mean by that is when you want something bad enough and you're so focused on it, you go into a trance state or a daydreaming state where you think about it constantly. And that's a good thing. But what the Oracle is saying here, what God is telling you is you're inconsistent. You got to focus and stay focused on what you want. Those signs are good, but if you don't continue the process that you started,
Okay.
you're not going to get it. And this is why the I Ching talked about conflict. See, conflict is this. Sometimes I feel like a nut, sometimes I don't. That's a commercial for a candy bar, but sometimes you're this, sometimes you're that. You've got to be this 100% devoted. And the way I look at devotion is always the way I work with it is through hypnosis, trance state, meaning I put people in a state of trance.
Yeah.
And that will allow them to not only believe that the thing that they want is coming to them, but it also in trance can strengthen your devotion to something. You know what I mean?
Can
So
I? Yeah.
go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to actually add something in here.
Okay.
Uh, okay. The more that I was listening to subliminals while I was sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, usually I tune it to alpha theta wave,
Mm-hmm. Good.
and I never did it before, but I realized the more I started listening and the more I started making my own tapes with my own subliminals,
Very good thing. Very good thing.
that's when I started seeing these synchronicities, and it's when I started doing it every single night,
Mm.
and
Keep that
then
up.
just like, and then just things just started popping up. So
Hooray.
that's why, and then eventually things led me to this channel, and then the funny thing is, I was actually thinking about Oracle systems a few weeks ago, and then it just came up right now,
Oh, that's
and
great.
it came in my notifications. So I'm like, okay, you know what? He's gonna have this video up. Let me ask him a question, and let me just see if it leads to something, and it did. So,
Now,
like I said, yeah, yeah,
understand that a synchronicity is not a guarantee that it's going to happen. It's just a
right,
signpost
right,
that says this way, this way. It's just letting you know
okay,
that you're going in the right direction, but that's not a guarantee that it's going to manifest. And people get that
okay,
confused. You know what I mean?
okay,
So be
okay,
mindful of that. So what that's telling you is be devoted. This is a critical time. The way we look at the analogy is this: you
yeah.
are a set. You have become seeded or impregnated with the idea of what you want. You must now nurture it and give birth to it. But if you do not do the nurturing part, the baby will be aborted. So you now have to nurture it by continuing on the tapes that you've been doing, continuing exactly what you have been doing. I would even step it up a bit. You know what I mean?
Step it up in terms of duration, step it
Yes.
up in terms of
Yes.
intensity.
Duration and intensity. So let's say, for example, if you were meditating for an hour, just double that. You know what I mean?
Okay, I
You know.
see.
But the most important thing that supersedes everything that I'm saying here
Yeah,
is that you must believe that you already have it. Don't think about it in the future. Believe that you have it now. That's what I do with guys and girls in trance state. I put them in the trance state and I give them a post-hypnotic suggestion, and I tell them that you already have it because in we are multi-dimensional beings. There is a version of you that exists in another dimension that already has that thing that you want. So vibrate to that, and if you believe it strong enough, there will be a shift. You know what I mean?
and now once the shift happens, right,
Hmm.
people tend to take inspired action because of something that they're feeling,
Yeah,
correct?
exactly. Yep, that's correct.
And so once that once the feeling is established, I can feel that there's a lot of actions that I want to take.
Take those actions now.
So
You don't have to wait till you get it to take the action. Take the action now.
okay, okay, I understand.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I want to take, but like you said, the ego kicks in and says, "Does this even make sense?"
You're not living in a world that makes sense. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah. 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 I understand.
So um, it is you have to understand that you control the outcome based upon your faith and belief. And right now,
Right.
a set also corresponds to doubt. So
Okay.
that can kill your dream. Like for example, if I made the video on Patreon called "How to Get $1 Million," right? And well, what would I do if I had $1 million? I think I would get me a new suit. Well, I'm going to get me a new suit right now. I'm going to go to this to the bank, take out from my bank account my savings enough money to get me a
Yep.
tailor-made suit, to get me a tailor-made suit, and go get a suit made.
Hmm.
But what if my mind says, "Wait a minute, that's your savings. You're using money from your savings. I'm a millionaire. What are you talking about? What are you talking? I'm a millionaire." The most dominant thought becomes the reality. The most dominant thought becomes the reality. If your dominant thought says you're poor and you have to save, then that's the reality that you'll always be in. If your dominant thought tells you you're rich, then that will come to manifestation. It already
And
exists.
it does not matter how it comes, right? Like many people say, don't worry about how it comes, right? It's just that anything could happen from anywhere, anytime, pretty much
Let, let me
whatever.
let me explain to you this, right?
Yeah.
I I could say, listen,
Mm-hmm.
I want to make a movie. No, put it this way.
Yeah.
I want to build a film studio like Tyler Perry did, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
film studio he built cost $250 million. I don't have access to that money, nor do I know people. I don't need to think about that. I don't
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
think about
Mm-hmm.
that. The universe, when God created the universe and everything that there is, or let me say this, I want you to understand this. When you,
Yeah.
when you created the universe and everything that there is, you made it abundant. You can neither add to it or subtract from it. It is complete. It is abundance. So what that means is whatever it is you can think of, because you can't imagine non-existence. It's impossible. You cannot imagine not existence. So if you can dream that you have a film studio, it exists somewhere in some space and time, and in some reality, it exists because you cannot imagine non-reality. So everything that you imagine is a reality. All you have to do is just hold on to that vision. You don't need to think about how it can happen. In fact, if you get caught up in that, that brings the doubt, the worry. I don't know the people. I have no contacts. I don't have access to that type of money. You could one day hit lottery and get $500 million, just like that. Just like that. It can come whatever way the universe brings it to you, but it will come. That's all you need to think about. Okay.
And there is a time delay.
Yes,
Yes.
there,
Yes.
there, there,
Okay.
there it's called time dilation. There is a time
Time
delay.
dilation. Okay.
So what
Okay.
that means that do not be fooled in what you see around you, because that is
Okay.
in the past. That is the past.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. Yeah.
The future or the present, no, I shouldn't say the future. Let me stop that. The present moment is in your head. The present
You're
is
right.
in your head. This is
Yeah.
all the past. So that's what you have to keep in mind. Okay?
Okay. Thanks a lot, man. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you. And
Thank you.
you will get what you're looking for. Okay?
Thanks a lot, man.
Okay. So that's why we work with the oracles. We work with the oracles because we want to utilize the magic that is within us. And the oracle will let you know if you're on the right path, where you need to go, what you need to do. Okay. So let's go to our next one. Goddess Gwendolyn Hetepu. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. I
I'm trying to
see.
turn my camera around.
Yeah. Can you do that? I see a bedroom there.
Yeah. Um, this is my first time working this. Let's see, video
Okay.
and flip. You know what? I have you on my phone and my laptop. So let me see if I can do this on my laptop.
And let me just
No.
say this about the oracle. You see, when you're dealing with the oracle and you're trying to get advice from God, you have to understand that God is operating on a very, very high moral level. So you can't go to the oracle trying to ask if you could do something devious or underhanded. You know what I mean? People forget that. That, for example, if you're fighting with a friend and you want to know how to get the upper hand in that situation, or if you want to know if really OJ Simpson did it, you know, Oracle's not going to give you that type of insight. See, the Oracle is going to tell you how you can reconcile with your friend. It's not
Oh,
going to tell you how to get over on somebody. It's not going to tell you how to be better than somebody, because God is no respecter of persons. So he's going to give you the best advice so that we all come together and live together harmoniously. Okay. How
Okay.
are you?
I'm doing well. How are
Good.
you?
I'm good. You look nice. Awesome.
Oh, thank you. I was in bed, and then so, you know what? I'm trying to see, because I have you on my laptop and my cell phone. I'm trying to see which way I want to go.
Oh, okay.
I guess I'll just watch it from my phone.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
see
Great.
me okay?
Yeah, we can see you great. It's perfect,
Okay.
actually. What's your question?
Okay, so man, I've been on my spiritual journey for like a long time. And just as of recently, I started meditating. I know I should meditate more. Um, my question is, when you meditate, like when I try to visualize something, I don't really see what I'm trying to visualize. Like, when you close your eyes and you, like, let's say I want to visualize me being at a beach. I don't
Hmm.
see an actual beach. So do you have like any suggestions or pointers on how to become more visual with meditation?
Yeah, you basically have to keep doing it because what you've been trained so much, and that happens is some people are more left brain than right brain. So
Uh-huh.
you've got to. I would recommend. Do you read a lot?
I do a lot of reading, researching. Like,
So
yeah, I do.
I would read as much as possible like sci-fi works, like novels, because that's going to
Okay.
help you to try and visualize what you're reading. Because sci-fi can be, they tend to describe things that are very visual and very projected into the future. So try to read that, and also you may be having some difficulty relaxing the mind, but because you dream, right? And you
Yes.
actually, so you can take things like vitamin B and GABA that will relax the left brain and allow the
Okay.
right brain to take over, because you're too much left brain, and that's the problem. So GABA is
Hmm.
an amino acid. You can get that GNC vitamin shop, and vitamin B complex. You can get that anywhere. Those are help you to relax more, so the right brain takes over. The other thing I would say, so read science fiction novels. The other thing is chant a mantra, or work on well, let's do it this way for you. Chant a mantra, because the mantra is repetitive and it puts the left brain to sleep
Okay.
without kicking your imagination. All
Okay.
right. So
Okay.
try that to get it to work. But that's not a question for the oracles, but that's just something straightforward, you know.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. So who is okay? Who's like my guardian angel, or like my ancestor that's watching over me, like my spirit mother?
Sure. We're going to ask what deity is governing your life.
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Kemetic religion?
Mm, a little bit.
Okay, because I
I
just
do. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
now because I want to know if I just want to make sure like how deep need to go into explaining the different deity or deities to you.
Mm, yeah, like I've studied the Orishas.
Oh, okay. Good, good.
Yeah, all set. Yeah, yes. And I watch a lot of your videos too. You've taught me a lot.
Okay. Okay, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. So I want you to understand that there's a big implication to telling you this, and I'm going to explain to you why, right? When you ask this question, it has a cascading effect on the rest of your life, because in ancient culture, that question determined a lot about how a child will be raised.
Mm,
Because, for example, my mother is the goddess Maat, right? So
yes.
that meant that in the priesthood, I had to sit with the clan of Maat. I had to sit
Okay.
with Maat clan. I couldn't sit with Osset clan or Harukahuti clan. I would have to work only with the Ma'at clan. You understand what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yes.
The next thing I would need to do is I would take on the name of Ma'at, which is my middle name. Ma'ah is the male version without the T for Ma'at. The
Okay.
name feeds you the energy of that deity,
Yes.
and then you would pay tribute to that deity by offerings and stuff like that. So a lot of things go along with that. So what the
Okay.
oracle is telling me here is that what is really governing your life and is the guiding principle in your life is Oser.
Okay.
Okay. And as you know, he is the husband of Oset.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay. So this is the the historical or mythological figure Jesus. So Aser symbolizes unity.
Okay.
He is the known as the uniter of Upper and Lower Egypt. Okay,
Mm.
uniting the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of the brain.
Okay.
Um, he was resurrected. So Oser is the indwelling intelligence within you. Oser is God within you.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal in life is to resurrect God, to allow God to come to the forefront and guide our lives.
Oh,
Because
yes.
the person who you are, as Freud would say, is the ego, the persona. The true
Mm-hmm.
essence of who you are is Oser. So your goal is to grow beyond your human emotions
And I've
and
been working on that.
to allow the God within you to resurrect and come to the forefront and guide you. And
Okay.
that is Oser. Oser talks about a very high principle of not having favoritisms.
Mm-hmm.
See, Osiris is symbolized by the mummy, and the mummy is still. And the mummy has grown beyond the influence of emotions. So you don't allow emotions to determine what is right and what is wrong, or what you like and what you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
You're beyond all of that. And it's only when you have gone beyond that can you be impartial. Can you be the one that unites people?
Mm. Okay.
Because if you're still trapped in your human emotions, you can be influenced, you can be swayed. But if you
Yeah.
have grown beyond that, then no amount of money, no amount of prestige will get you to do something that violates your principle as God.
Mm-hmm.
So Oser is the guiding principle in your life.
Okay. I'm gonna have to read. I'm gonna look more into that.
Yes, and he wears
Interesting.
white, symbolizing no preference either way.
Okay.
You know,
And I'm all in black right now.
Mm,
Okay.
that's okay.
Interesting. Thank
So
you. Thank you so much.
think about that. All right, so Atepu.
Okay. Let's check.
All right, so I'm going to end it right there, and we'll do another session. This was a great session. Got a lot of good questions, and study up on the oracles, and learn. It's a great source of knowledge, and it will never ever lead you wrong. You know, um, I wish I had started with the oracles years ago when I was a little kid, because my life would have been down a different road. You know, and I've noticed that whenever I listen to the oracle, things have unfolded pretty well. When I didn't listen to the oracle, things usually fell apart in my life. So I'm one who was an advocate for going to God for guidance and wisdom through an oracle system. And as I mentioned, there is the Meduna Tarot, there's the Tarot, there's the I-ching, there's pendulums you can work with. There are oracles too. And if you can find the Oracle of Delphi, go and explore that. That works too. So I want to thank you all for coming to this session. And don't forget, if you get an opportunity to donate to the channel, and again, consider becoming a Patreon supporter. We have the bi-weekly hypnosis group sessions that are good. You should definitely attend those. And that's it. So until my next broadcast, this is Kasak Ma Keperu, son of Ma and Tehuti. My aunt is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Till my next broadcast, Amin Ra.